Yeah.
She played.
Cool.
This is really fun.
Or you can hang out behind me.
And who?
Hey, will you tell me if that phone over there is recording?
Well,
He came down and played.
Brett from where?
The DD store.
Oh, okay. Like, it's not ringing a bell, but I know Scarlett.
Yes.
Well, thanks everybody for showing up today. My name's Chris Timko. I'm the president of Kansas City Disc Golf, and we're going to take about 45 minutes or an hour. Here's some different presentations for various members on the board of directors. I'm going to start by giving an overview of the 2021 season, starting with our membership. Dick Parker, our membership coordinator, told me that membership is at its highest it's ever been at I think 525 is the number of ballots we sent out this year, which is really incredible. Disc golf obviously had a huge growth during the pandemic year, as it was a great sport to play from a socially distanced socially distanced stuff, and we saw this surge really carry into 2021 in our tournaments. First tournament that always begins Kansas City Disc Golf's year from an organization standpoint is Ice Bowl. For those unfamiliar, Ice Bowl is a charitable event that we use to raise money as an organization to help support various charities throughout Kansas City. This year's Ice Bowl was co-tournament event directed by Rick Rothstein and Scott Reek. Huge thanks to them. The Ice Bowl in Kansas City is unique in the fact that we have 6 satellites, and this year had 2 main events, so I had 8 total events running with a great staff running behind it. Rick did a great job from a fundraising perspective with the Frosty 50. This year we were able to do a silent auction. And with the number of people playing, we were able to raise almost $15,000 for Bishop Sullivan Center in KC-Mo and Mission Project in Mission, Kansas, which is the most money we've been able to donate in the history of Ice Bowl in Kansas City. So thanks everybody who's contributed to that. Let's see. Next we have league. So I have been the league coordinator for the past couple years. When we get the vice presidents up, they're going to talk more about our course coordinators. But I want to thank the people who stepped up and volunteered their time for league. So I'm going to run through their names real quick. Some of them are here. Some aren't. Some I know are out of the state. So at Cliff Drive this year we had Michael Kruger. On the Olathe courses, this is what happens when you're a lefty. You're in the wind wrong. The Olathe courses, Kate Gerlitz. Ladies Night Out, Crispy and Paul. Waiko was Dave Herbert. Heritage is Michael Blancion, which is, there he is. Swope, Jerry Patterson for Swope's short run. P. Hill, Doug Kroll. Sorry. Traveling Tuesday, one of our new leagues, Brian Nippelmeyer, Shawnee Mission Park, Matt Jenkins, Rosedale, Billy Lee. Wandering Wednesday returned this year, and Coleman Gregg led that. Greg Oots has been like the rock of league for a number of years and has been running Waterworks for a number of years. New Players League was Joe Burke. Brian Easel ran Bad Rock. George Price ran Legacy, and Stephanie Roberts ran Women's Traveling League on Sunday. I think one of the unique things about this year with League, obviously this is the first year we've had League back in place after a COVID-shortened 2020. But of these 17 leagues, 8 of these league directors are new. One of the things that we'll get into is Kansas City Disc Golf always needs new volunteers, and seeing this new blood and this new energy in leagues is something really, really remarkable. So whenever you see these guys, be sure to thank them on the course because they're giving a number of tireless hours to make league happen for people. Across these 17 leagues, running from that April to end of September timeline, 5,500 league rounds were played across these 17. This year, we have our top 3 leagues. So our third busiest league was Wednesday at Shawnee Mission Park. Thursday, Bad Rock Creek was our was number 3. Waterworks was number 2, and Shawnee Mission Park this year is the number 1 league that was in the summer league system. 24 aces total this year on leagues. One of the reasons people love to play leagues is they love to come out and get aces. Rosedale and Wandering Wednesday led the charge with 4 aces this year in their leagues. Swope had 2, and famously it was Brian Sweezy acing on consecutive weeks on different holes or on the same hole. Okay, well, at least that. But Brian Sweezy hit 2 aces in the same league on consecutive weeks is really something. And again, UDisc, which we implemented in 2020, again proving to be something that benefits not only the people keeping score, but our league directors and the time they spend. So that's something we're really seeing as a great thing that we're growing with. All right, tournaments. Stupid win. All right, tournaments. 48 tournaments this year on Kansas City Disc Golf's calendar. That essentially is a tournament every weekend for the entire year. We have a few events to go, but over 5,000 people have played on tournaments, or played a tournament round this year on one of our weekends. And one of our new things that we had, Scott Reek implemented the F3 series on Friday, so there's flex starts that start as well. We've had 15 of those, and Scott's done a great job of that, and a little over 1,100 players on those Fridays, on those 15 events. So that's something that kind of an untapped market that we've done a good job of bringing out. All right, so one of the biggest events, obviously, we run in Kansas City is the Kansas City Wide Open. This year, record 417 players across 5 courses and 3 days. An event like that starts planning, some events talk about starting to plan immediately after the event. The Kansas City Wide Open normally starts planning 6 months before the event for the next year. It's almost an 18-month planning session. And amazing staff. So many people stepped up this year. Of note, of course, Jerry Patterson, tournament director, and Michael Kruger, the assistant tournament director, really did a great job of bringing the best players we can to Kansas City and showing why we're such a great disc golfing city. Also, one of the amazing things this year, every course had a sponsor. Every tee sign on every course had a sponsor. It really goes to show how much our local community is supporting disc golf, not in just the disc golf community itself, but in Kansas City business as a whole. Let's see, from new org news, we've obviously been a 501c3 for a couple of years, but in the past month, Kansas City Disc Golf became sales tax exempt in Missouri, which will help with some of our expenses we put into courses, as well as some of our expenses we put into tournaments. So looking forward to 2022, Lupe Harada will be leading Ice Bowl in 2022, her first foray into that. We really want to support her as much as we can, so thank you, Lupe. And the 40th annual Kansas City Wide Open this year, August 25th through 27th. I had 28th on here. For the 27th, it's in between the Des Moines Challenge and PDGA Pro Worlds, which we think will really capitalize on the touring professionals who will be in the area. Again, this year, Jerry Patterson will be leading that as tournament director, with Michael Kruger as an assistant tournament director. One of the final remarks I wanted to make, I put on the RSVP just some questions about, and one of the questions that came up was where Kansas City Disc Golf was going to go in 5 years. We're a volunteer organization. We're only as good as the volunteers and the people that love the sport and love to put into the sport. I've been fortunate that I've lived in a few different cities and I've seen disc golf in a few different cities. Kansas City really is the greatest disc golfing city in the world, and our organization is as great as the people are willing to put in time. I'm definitely somebody that can help you, and the rest of the board of directors can help you find ways to use your energies on the courses to help run events. But never hesitate to reach out, never hesitate to ask. I would love to connect you with people in whatever you think you can do. So thank you guys a lot for coming, and I think our next speaker is going to be Laura Hayes, Vice President of Kansas, with her report. So thank you guys.
All right, hello. So I'm going to start off with just going over the courses that we have in Kansas. For those who may or may not be familiar, we've got Heritage Park, Prairie Center, Rosedale, Shawnee Mission Park, Waco, Lakeside Hills, aka Birdland, and Big Bull Creek. And I do want to take a moment to recognize the course coordinators out at those courses. For Heritage Park and Big Bull Creek, we have Scott Reek. Prairie Center, we've got Tom Butler and Kate Geraltz, who are also co-course coordinators out at Lakeside Hills. So thank you to them. We've also got Waco, Dave Herbert. Rosedale, up top, Bob Ward and Jonathan Davis. Down under, Jay Rivard. So thank you to all of our course coordinators for their time out there. I just want to give some updates from this year on some of our Kansas courses. At Rosedale, we got new veteran baskets and permanent pin placements. Those are those white baskets out there. Those were donated by Pete Cashin and DDKC, so thank you, Pete. There was also some major renovations down under. We had a bridge, the old bridge that was on hole 8, was removed and replaced with some telephone poles donated by Dan Cashin, put in by volunteers. Then there were also stairs installed to go up top after hole 18 up to hole 5. So on that note, thank you to our volunteers that take the time to do that. We wouldn't be where we are without them. And I want to mention specifically here, Rogue of Rosedale, which we've got some members back there and around here. They've put in over 530 volunteer hours this week, both up top, down under. Other courses, Cliff Drive, we're trying to get out there and do some work there, and Waterworks too. So thank you guys for everything you do. For Waco, we are going to be getting new baskets upcoming this year. Again, those were veteran baskets donated by Pete Cashin and DDKC. And at Shawnee Mission Park this year, we're working on an upcoming redesign. There's going to be a redesign of 9 new holes as well on the 20-acre side there. And then we've got 9 holes that are going to be likely the existing back 9 that will include artwork on each hole. There's currently bids being submitted with local artists for those artworks. It's kind of a new concept they're going to try out. So I think it's going to be a really cool thing for everybody to go check out. We also have a couple upcoming new courses in Kansas. Those are going to include Black Hoof, opening up next summer. That's an EMAC design. That'll be in Lenexa. We're also getting a new 9-hole at West Hyde Park in Kansas City, Kansas. That is all I have. So I will pass it off to Eric Eastwood for the Missouri report.
Thanks. Mine's going to be much more interactive because I can't remember everybody's names and who all helps with the Missouri courses. So I'm going to ask questions and you guys can reach out and tell me. But I do want to recognize all the course coordinators, and that's where I need help because a lot of them's changing over time, and I'm not sure who helps on everyone. So if I miss somebody or I can't think of them, please bring them up. So Pleasant Hill, Steve Stansberry and Andrew, Michael, been helping with that. So thanks to them. At Pleasant Hill, we've gotten some new pin placements and there's some discussion about changing out the T-pads because they're very short. And so the new parks director at Pleasant Hill is a disc golfer, and so there's talks of improving those T-pads, as well as, oh, there you go. Look, computer. Yep, so that should be happening in the future. Pretty excited about that. I'll kind of work our way out. Bad Rock Creek, Cujo always does a great job there. And then have you seen there's been a lot of improvements at Bad Rock, the wall on 17, the elevated sort of blockade on 9, and just continued improvements there I think for some discussions on future big tournaments there, right? Right, Jerry? Correct. The problem is there are more improvements there, and that's always good. Wilbur Young, Keith Glendinning has done a fantastic job of getting that course, I think, back up to where it was when it started, when it originally went in. He kind of got let go a few years back, and then once he started taking reins of it, he's done a fabulous job of making improvements there. It was part of the Kansas City Wide Open. It's a fun little track if you've never played it, and it'll kick your ass if you're not ready. So, let's see, who else? Swope, Blue Valley Cliff, those are all Jack's kind of, I think I put that as the course coordinator. Are you the course coordinator for all three, Jack?
No.
No.
If we could thank Dan Cashin, Jim Krieger at Blue Valley, Drew and Kaiser at Cliff Drive, and Swope's just Swope. Right?
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Then there are a couple other courses that are, well, Hidden Valley, can I say that one's too, Jack? Yeah. So I will go back to the Kansas City courses here in a minute. And then the other one is Legacy, and George Bryce has kind of been taking some of the reins there. And we do run a league out there, but we don't actually have that as an official club course. But it sort of is and sort of isn't, right? Sort of gray area. The other thing about Lee Summit, if you don't know, there was a new 9-hole course put in about a year ago that myself, C.D. Steiner, and Jake Bowen were part of, called Howard Park. And we've got T-pads, and they did a second iteration of the design in terms of additional longer placements. So if you've not checked that out, it's a lot of fun. So back to the Kansas City courses, Cliff Drive. There's been some ongoing, Jack's been doing a lot of work, adding holes. We've got a couple of T-pads, I think, poured, some new placements put in, still more to come, right? Yeah. So it looked great for the Wide Open, it was a lot of fun. Ran it for the club championship as well. There were 2 courses out there. It was a great course. I think it's my favorite at the moment, Jack, so good job. Yeah. Blue Valley, I think we had a basket replaced. There's a big cleanup done in anticipation of the Bride of Big Blue that happened last weekend, or was it the week before?
It's an ongoing, it is now being worked on with hopes to continue to improve it.
Yep, there's new improvements at Blue Valley and Swope. I'm trying to think if there's any major changes at Swope. Can anybody think of anything major that's happened here?
Swope is being discussed for the evolution of the course, and there'll be more to come on that. Probably February.
Yeah. And then Waterworks here, anything here major?
Trees planted.
Trees?
New pins at 5.
New pins.
We've been asking about replacing the T-pads, so that's on the list.
Yeah.
Refreshing.
Yeah.
The monument's still going to be a deal, but it won't impact anything for us. The only thing we're hoping to do is maybe bring some more parking up over here.
Yeah. So there's some projects that are involving the center island over here on the practice basket. There's been some discussions with that. So this is my last year on the board at the moment. I may be coming back around and serve again later, but I've been on it for 2.5 years, and I've got a lot of other projects in the works. And so I do want to say a couple things about things that I wanted to try to do as Missouri VP, but I wasn't ever able to get off the ground. And so I would challenge whoever the next board member who has this role to consider. And one of those is work with the course coordinators to set out goals for what project improvements you want to do for the future year and fund those projects. So usually they have an idea and they come to us, and so I really wanted to reach out and try to be more proactive and get those projects going, and I never really either met up with them or was able to find time to really kick that off. So hopefully my replacement can do a better job than I did. The other thing that I'll mention, and I know he's actively working this, but we've had a lot of turnover with the Kansas City, Missouri Parks and Rec. And so those relationships that we used to have, although we have the historical knowledge, they may not. And so what we'll really need to do for Missouri, I think, is build that relationship and be very intentional in how we work with Kansas City, Missouri to continue the ongoing support and great relationship we have. And I think there's a lot of projects and things that can happen. And so I think attention will be need to made for that for the Missouri. So, all right, any questions for me? Okay, next. Anna, you're up.
Thanks, Eric. Hello, everyone. I am your treasurer, Anna Hare, and I would like to help inform you of how the funds that you have generously donated have been put to good use. If you have a blue piece of paper in front of you, they've been floating around. We have two reports. One is a statement of activity, which is also known as like a income statement, and then we have a statement of financial position, which is also known as a balance sheet. I'll start by going through our statement of activity. We have a few main events that drive the majority of the revenue that we create. Disc Golf Day was a modest contribution, and then Ice Bowl is one of the bigger charitable events that we run that we were able to generate $8,000 for Bishop Sullivan Center, $8,500, and then we also donated $3,000 to the Mission Project, and the revenue we generated covered those donations and the other expenses such as merchandise. Then Kansas City Wide Open, we still have some pending revenue and expenses. Once we get the NTDF funds, it should be around $65,000 generated in revenue, and then once we have the remaining payouts redeemed, then it will be about $62,000 in expenses. So we may have, these numbers are preliminary. I guess I'll go ahead and put out there too. You can, for nonprofits, you can get online and Google IRS nonprofit Kansas City Disc Golf, and all of our tax filings are out there, so you can see what the end result is of any given year. So once the year is complete, that information will be out there, but these numbers are kind of preliminary and in flux until the year is over. So we should have about $3,000 that we're hoping that we can reinvest into the event for next year when we make it even bigger and better than it ever has been before, right, Jerry? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Let's see what else we got here. So another driver of revenue is the membership dues, leagues, and tournament fees. And all that goes back into the organization to help cover some of the overhead costs, which I will be going over next. And then also we go back and use the funds that we have left over to reinvest into the parks and programs that we host. So going down to the expenditure section, I feel like I'm talking a lot. I'm going to try to be quicker about this. We got a lot of things to cover. So expenses, some of the bigger expenditures that we had, we have promotional items. That was the big expenses for that were the feather banners that you can see right here, and I think Chris Timko did a really good job with those. Then we also are doing some T-sign sponsorships at courses. Then another one of our larger expenditures is management and administration, professional and legal expenses. Some of those expenses include QuickBooks, tax filing, talking with our lawyers about the sales tax exemption, agreement reviews, annual registration, and our code of conduct policy. Yeah, so another expense, so this is a reminder for league payout. You have until December 1st to redeem those vouchers. That gives us a chance to process that information and have our financial year complete on time. So then we also have member services, and part of those expenses were the election for last year, the Kansas City Disc Golf shirts. Be sure to get your shirt, bag tags, and mailing bag tags. So when all is said and done, we have about, and this may change, like I said, we still have some revenue and expenses out there, but preliminarily, as of this day and time, we have about $8,000 of net revenue, and then that brings us to the balance sheet, or the statement of financial position. And for our assets, it's basically our bank account, and we have $37,000 in the bank as of right now. However, we have $11,000 in liabilities, current liabilities, $3,000 of which is for the ACE fund. The remaining amount is for the SWOPE fundraiser that we hosted. And then we also have a small amount in the long-term liability for the tree fund. So the previous couple years that we've been in the Kansas City Disc Golf Organization, we had generated $16,000 in retained earnings. So if we continue along that trajectory, we may have around $20,000 of equity, which is that with our bank accounts, it's good to have cash flow and liquidity so we have the funds available when our financial obligations come to fruition. So on all that being said, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but I will pass this off to more exciting things that Jack will be talking about, like the Volunteer of the Year.
Don't trip. Thanks, Anna. Hi, Jack Lowe, alcoholic. Trying to cut back. There's been a common theme I think everybody up here has talked to us about, which is volunteerism. And our organization, our group, our community, our sport relies heavily on volunteerism from individuals. People can define your volunteer time in a wide variety of methods. Some folks give time in meetings, some folks give time printing, some folks give time writing. There's a wide array of volunteer issues that have to be done. And one of the things about volunteerism is oftentimes we do it not to be noticed, but because it's the right thing to do. And this year we have decided to give the Volunteer of the Year award to Josh Egan. And for those of you who don't know Josh, he does a lot of great work. Oh, cool. I didn't get anything that cool when I won. So Josh has been giving time, effort, and energy for many years now, and I can't thank you enough for what you've done out of Cliff Drive, what you do at Rosedale, what you just do in general for the sport and the club. So thank you very much. He doesn't want a speech. That's typical Josh. He really does. Oh, that's for me. Oh, hey. Hey, that's cool. They don't let me put trash cans at work. Maybe I can get this one. But I just want to say, take your time. If you want to volunteer, we're never going to turn you away. And I mean, that's how I got started in Kansas City some 20 some odd years ago. And then Rick and Dan Cashin railroaded me into joining the board, and here I am now. And it was just something simple. I think I ran New Players League, and I kept stats. That was the first thing. Nobody had kept stats all league before in Kansas City. So, speaking of stats and people that have joined and helped, this guy that I'm going to introduce, Brent, just showed up at one board meeting one night and said, well, I can keep track of the books. And now Brent's instrumental and is involved in everything else. So I'm going to turn over to Brent.
Thanks, Jack. And I just showed up at the board meeting because of the club championship and like getting together with people there. So that's what getting on the course together is a great path to, the next step, which is volunteering. So I'm going to make a pledge. I'm going to do 3 topics here in 3 minutes or less so that we can answer some questions. One of the things we did this year that I worked on was coming up with a policy for harassment and violence for the club, which we didn't have. We now have a policy that is in our bylaws that establishes behavior on course or at club events, covers harassment and threatening behavior. You can look at the policy if you want, but basically it would be typical behavior we don't want to reward. And it defines a way that the board would investigate if harassment or threatening behavior came to our attention, and policy for how we would solve it or resolve it within the club. And that's basically straightforward policy. It's pretty much boilerplate language, but we adopted it for the club because of a couple of incidents we've had over the last few years. The second thing, I worked on the club championship this year in October, and I'd like to acknowledge at least one of our champions who is here today. Steph Olson is the women's club champion for 2021. And the men's club champion is not here, but John Jones won the club championship. Eric was on the final card. Maybe he can speak to his great
John
friend.
Jones, probably the best player you can't see right now. He's all right.
Yeah.
He's hard to beat. That's
Yeah.
all I'll say about that.
We had 100 players out for some portion of the event. We had several flights: Jordan Renzelman, Kyle Kelly, Cody Davidson, who's here today, Fabian Venegas, Michael Kruger, Wayne Johnson, and Crispian Paul all were flight winners, so congratulations to them. As a result of that, we have, if you competed, and I think everybody here, but you got bag tags on the basis of that. If you, for some reason, competed and are a member for 2022 and haven't picked up your bag tag, please see me before you leave today. After this, we're going to mail them out or get them in the hands of people in that way, but I would love to get them in your hand today that way. So the club championship went well. The third item that I have here is that I just want to talk for a moment about the club elections, which are underway. You should have received a ballot via email with a unique link. You just follow that and vote. We have 7 open board positions this year and 6 applicants for it. So the election itself is not a hold your breath and see who's going to win type situation, but I still think it's very important to go through the process. One, we're required to by our bylaws, but 2, it's a way to meet the people that are running for the board and the people that are going to serve as the constituents, which are the membership, to help get things done for disc golf in Kansas City. So our 6 nominees this year include 3 people that are running again: Pete Cashin, Laura Hayes, and Lupe Herrera. They're all here to have a conversation with. And then we also have Kerry Rivard, who is not here today, but you can email him or get a hold of him at the phone number that he posted on the application. That's posted on our website. Josh Egan, who just won Volunteer of the Year, is running for a board spot. And Michael Balancio right there, also running for a board spot. So those are 6 people. If you've got questions, an opportunity, you want to, we can have them on the mic, or you guys can just address them individually. The election closes on the 28th. On the 1st of the next month, we'll announce the new board, and the new board serves from January 1 of 2022 through the end of 2023. Those members are going to serve 2-year terms. As of this morning, we've had about 85 people vote in the election. So any questions about that, I'm happy to help you with. Otherwise, thank you for coming to our event. What's that? Yes, thank you. We've added 2 more board members. Thanks, Eric. We've had 9 in the past, for the past 2.5 years. We've added 2 more slots, and the idea is to improve involvement in the board and direct involvement by more members in board activities. So there'll be 11 board members serving at some point in 2022 going forward. Cool.
Oh, it doesn't turn off. That maybe was like the least